The chamber of the Galactic Council stretched beyond sight, an architectural marvel of impossible scale. It was designed to awe, to remind all who stood within that the Council was the unshakable center of civilization. At its core, a massive dais hovered, and upon it, representatives of the most powerful species in the known galaxy presided over their latest acquisition, humanity. Captain Evelyn Carter stood at the center of the chamber, unimpressed. Her uniform was crisp, her expression neutral, but the flicker of amusement in her sharp green eyes betrayed something else entirely. She had been through first contacts before, though never one quite like this. A being resembling a bioluminescent jellyfish, High Arbiter Vorthwin, drifted forward. Its voice, translated through artificial resonance, was smooth and practiced. Species number 1124, designated humanity. You stand before the Council in recognition of your induction into the Grand Collective. Per decree, you shall offer tribute, your world's resources, your people's labor, or, should you wish to demonstrate true fealty, your military. Compliance ensures prosperity. Defiance ensures obliteration. Silence followed. Across the chamber, representatives of other species, some reptilian, some crystalline, some towering masses of chitin, watched expectantly. None had ever refused. Tribute was the natural order. Carter glanced at her team. Dr. Ravi Patel, an unassuming man with permanently ruffled hair, adjusted his glasses with scientific detachment. Ana Torres, a civilian diplomat, clutched her tablet, her expression oscillating between awe and irritation. And then there was Sergeant Brick Kowalski, arms crossed, chewing gum, wholly unaffected by the grandeur surrounding them. Carter turned back to Vorthwin. The Council expected subservience, groveling, or at least a token negotiation. Instead, she gave them neither. She simply said, no. The chamber fell into absolute stillness. Some species lacked the physiological ability to blink, yet one could almost hear the collective eye twitch ripple through the assembly. Vorthwin's glowing tendrils undulated in what might have been confusion. Perhaps you misunderstand. This is not a request. I understood just fine, Carter said, hands clasped behind her back. Our answer is no. A murmur spread across the chamber, rising in intensity. A delegation of insectoid beings chittered in alarm. A hulking, armored warlord of the Zenthari species scoffed audibly. No one had ever outright refused tribute. Even the most defiant species had at least pretended to negotiate before inevitably surrendering to the Council's overwhelming authority. Vorthwin's bioluminescence dimmed in a sign of displeasure. Captain Carter, such defiance is unexpected. We are offering your species a position in the Grand Collective, an honor. To reject it is irrational. Kowalski let out a small chuckle. That's humanity for you. Dr. Patel, ever the academic, adjusted his stance. With respect, Arbiter, your demand, operates on the assumption that humanity values security over autonomy. That assumption is incorrect. Ana Torres found her voice leaning forward. Our history is full of moments where we were told to kneel. We don't. We innovate, we adapt, and when pressed, we fight. The murmurs grew into a cacophony of disbelief. A member of the Serpentine Zokari hissed. Madness. A counselor from the avian-like Tyrex fluffed its feathers in agitation. They do not comprehend their position. Vorthwin's glow pulsed rapidly. This is not a matter of philosophy. It is reality. The Council's will is absolute. If you resist, you will be annihilated. Carter smiled. You can try. For a moment, nothing happened. Then laughter, deep and guttural, rolled through the chamber. The Zenthari warlord, a battle-scarred brute nearly 3 meters tall, leaned forward with genuine amusement. I like them. Vorthwin ignored the outburst, its voice now dangerously sharp. Your defiance seals your fate. The Council will convene. Expect the full weight of our judgment. Carter's expression didn't waver. She turned on her heel, motioning for her team to follow. Then I suggest you prepare. They exited the chamber to a mixture of horror, curiosity, and fascination. The moment the heavy doors sealed behind them, Anna exhaled sharply. That was either the bravest or dumbest thing we've ever done. Dr. Patel sighed. Probably both. Kowalski clapped his hands together, grinning. Now we get to see what happens when the galaxy tries to pick a fight with the craziest species in it. Carter led them down the corridor, her mind already working 3 steps ahead. Then let's make sure we give them one hell of a surprise. And just like that, the impossible had happened. Humanity had refused the council. The galaxy would never be the same. Let's assess our situation, Carter began, her tone brisk. The council will mobilize against us. We need options. Dr. Ravi Patel leaned forward, his analytical mind already racing. Direct confrontation is suicide. Their combined fleets dwarf ours. Ana Torres, ever the diplomat, interjected. Perhaps there's room for negotiation, a middle ground that preserves our autonomy while appeasing the council. Kowalski snorted. You heard them, Anna. It's their way or annihilation. I say we hit and where it hurts. Carter raised a hand, silencing the brewing debate. We need a strategy that leverages our strengths and exploits their weaknesses. Ravi, any ideas? Patel adjusted his glasses, a habitual gesture when deep in thought. The council operates on the assumption that all species will submit or be destroyed. They've likely never faced an opponent that thinks outside their paradigm. Meaning? Carter prompted. Meaning, Patel continued, we use our unpredictability to our advantage. Guerrilla tactics, asymmetric warfare, psychological operations. We make the cost of subjugating humanity higher than they're willing to pay. Anna frowned, but that could lead to massive civilian casualties. Earth would become a battleground. Not necessarily, Patel replied. If we can disrupt their command structures, sow confusion, and make them question the value of this conquest, we might force them to reconsider. Kowalski grinned. I like it. Hit and run. Sabotage. Make M chase shadows. Carter nodded slowly. It's risky, but it might be our best shot. We'll need to rally support from other species, gather intelligence, and prepare for a prolonged campaign. Anna looked skeptical. And if they retaliate by targeting civilian populations, then we evacuate key areas, establish underground networks, and ensure our people are prepared. Carter said firmly, this is about survival. We adapt or we perish. The room fell silent as the gravity of their situation settled in. Finally, Carter spoke again. Ravi, start working on potential targets and tactics. Anna, reach out to any potential allies discreetly. Kowalski, begin training our forces for unconventional warfare. Dismissed. As the team dispersed, Carter remained, staring at the holographic galaxy. Humanity had always thrived in the face of adversity. This would be their greatest test yet. Days turned into weeks as the Intrepid became a hive of activity. Patel and his team developed innovative strategies, from hacking into council communication networks to deploying decoy vessels that emitted human life signs, leading enemy ships on wild goose chases. Ana Torres established clandestine communications with dissenting factions within the council's member species. Some were sympathetic, others opportunistic, but all recognized the potential of a human-led insurgency to disrupt the council's hegemony. Kowalski transformed the ship's security forces into a lean, agile unit capable of striking swiftly and disappearing without a trace. They trained in zero-gravity combat, electronic warfare, and sabotage techniques, preparing for a type of warfare the Council had never encountered. Throughout it all, Carter coordinated, inspired, and led by example. She knew the odds were against them, but she also knew that humanity's greatest strength was its indomitable spirit. One evening, as the ship cruised through the void, Carter found herself in the observation deck, gazing at the stars. Patel joined her, his expression contemplative. Do you ever wonder, he began, if we're making the right choice? Defying an empire that spans the galaxy. Carter smiled faintly. Every day. But then I remember what's at stake. Our freedom, our way of life. If we submit now, what does that say about us? About everything we've fought for? Patel nodded. I suppose you're right. It's just the unknown. It's daunting. That's what makes us human, Ravi, Carter said softly. Our ability to face the unknown with courage and curiosity. To adapt, to dream, to fight for a better future. As they stood in silence, the stars outside seemed to shine a little brighter, as if acknowledging the audacity of a species that dared to defy the cosmos. The first strike came unexpectedly. A council-supplied convoy, lightly guarded, found itself ambushed by a fleet of unmanned drones broadcasting human signatures. As the council ships scrambled to respond, the real attack hit. A precision strike on their command vessel's communication array, leaving them in disarray. News of the successful raid spread quickly. Across the galaxy, oppressed species took notice. The humans had not only defied the council, but had drawn blood. It was a spark, small but potent, igniting hope in the hearts of many. Back on the Intrepid, the mood was jubilant. Kowalski recounted the operation with gusto, while Patel analyzed the data for future improvements. Anna reported increased interest from potential allies. Carter allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. It was a small victory, but it proved their strategy had merit. The road ahead was long and fraught with danger, but humanity had taken its first steps toward securing its place in the galaxy. As the celebrations continued, Carter retreated to her quarters. She knew the Council's response would be swift and brutal. But for now, they had the element of surprise and the unbreakable will of a species that refused to be conquered. The game was afoot, and humanity was ready to play. Aboard the UNS Intrepid, Captain Evelyn Carter convened her core team in the war room. The holographic display showcased a daunting array of enemy vessels converging on Earth's location. Dr. Ravi Patel, analyzing the data, shook his head. Their numbers are staggering. A direct confrontation would be catastrophic. Ana Torres, the diplomat, frowned. Is there any indication they're open to negotiation? Perhaps we can still find a diplomatic solution. Sergeant Brick Kowalski, ever the pragmatist, interjected. Diplomacy's out the window, Anna. They're coming to make an example out of us. Carter remained stoic, her mind racing through potential strategies. We anticipated this. Ravi, any progress on the contingency plans? Patel nodded, bringing up a schematic of the solar system. We've established a network of decoy satellites emitting human life signs throughout the asteroid belt. It should create confusion and delay their advance. Good, Carter replied, but that's a stalling tactic at best. We need something more decisive. Kowalski leaned forward, a glint in his eye. What if we take the fight to them? Hit their supply lines, disrupt their logistics, make them rethink this invasion. Anna looked skeptical. That could provoke them further. We risk escalating the conflict beyond our control. Or, Patel countered, it could force them to overextend, creating vulnerabilities we can exploit. Carter considered this. It's a gamble, but sitting back ensures our defeat. Kowalski, assemble strike teams. Target their supply convoys and communication hubs. Anna, continue outreach to potential allies. We need all the support we can get. As the team dispersed to execute their orders, Carter remained, staring at the holographic display. The odds were against them, but humanity had faced insurmountable challenges before. This was just another test of their resilience. The initial raids were a mix of success and setback. Kowalski's teams managed to disrupt several council supply lines, causing logistical headaches for the invading forces. However, the council's sheer scale meant that such disruptions were mere inconveniences. Anna's diplomatic efforts bore some fruit. A few fringe species, long resentful of the council's dominance, offered covert support. Supplies, intelligence, and even a handful of volunteers trickled in, bolstering humanity's strained resources. Yet, the Council's advance continued unabated. Their fleets bypassed the decoy satellites, adapting quickly to humanity's tactics. Skirmishes erupted on the outskirts of the solar system, with human forces employing hit-and-run tactics to harass the invaders. In one such engagement, the Intrepid found itself facing a Council destroyer. The bridge was a flurry of activity as alarms blared and damage reports streamed in. "Shields at 40%, shouted Lieutenant Harris from the tactical station. "Return fire," Carter ordered, her voice calm amidst the chaos. The Intrepid's weapons unleashed a barrage, striking the destroyer's hull. The enemy vessel retaliated, rocking the ship with a punishing salvo. "Captain," Patel called out, "I've detected a weakness in their shield matrix. A concentrated burst could disable their weapons." "Do it," Carter commanded. As Patel worked his console, Kowalski monitored the enemy's movements. "They're charging weapons again. We won't withstand another direct hit." "Ravi," Carter pressed. "Almost there. Got it. Firing now." The Intrepid's main cannon discharged a focus beam, piercing the destroyer's shields and striking its weapon systems. Explosions rippled across the enemy vessel as its guns fell silent. "Direct hit," Harris confirmed. "Their weapons are offline." Carter allowed herself a brief smile. "Move us out of range and prepare for the next engagement." The victory was short-lived. Reports came in of multiple Council fleets converging on Mars, overwhelming the human defenses stationed there. The red planet fell within hours, its colonies now under enemy control. Back in the war room, the team assessed the grim news. "We're losing ground," Anna said quietly. "At this rate, Earth will be surrounded within days." Kowalski slammed his fist on the table. "We need to hit them harder. Make them bleed. Reckless aggression won't save us," Patel countered. "We need a strategic advantage." Carter listened to her team's arguments, weighing their options. An idea began to form. A risky maneuver that could turn the tide or spell their doom. "There's one asset we haven't utilized," she said, drawing their attention. "The experimental warp gate at the edge of the system." Patel looked surprised. "The gate is unstable. We haven't tested it fully." "Exactly," Carter replied. "The Council won't expect us to use it. We could launch a surprise attack deep within their territory, strike at their command centers." Anna's eyes widened. "A decapitation strike? That could force them to withdraw. Or," Kowalski added, "it could backfire and leave us stranded." Carter met each of their gazes. "It's a risk, but our current strategy isn't sustainable. We need to take bold action." After a tense silence, Patel nodded. "I'll start calibrations on the gate." Kowalski grinned. "I'll prep the teams." Anna took a deep breath. "I'll inform our allies. If this works, we'll need their support." Carter felt a surge of determination. Humanity had always thrived on daring and ingenuity. This was their chance to prove it once more. "Let's get to work," she said. "The future of our species depends on it." Captain Evelyn Carter stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the enigmatic structure. The weight of their plan pressed heavily upon her, but retreat was not an option. Dr. Ravi Patel, stationed at the science console, provided a status update. "Captain, we've managed to stabilize the gate's core frequencies, but its integrity remains volatile. There's a significant risk of structural collapse during transit." Carter acknowledged the warning with a nod. "Understood, Dr. Patel. But this is our best shot at disrupting the Council's command structure." Sergeant Brick Kowalski, ever the embodiment of confidence, chimed in. "We've faced worse odds and come out on top. Let's give them hell." Ana Torres, the diplomat, voiced her concerns. "Captain, if this maneuver fails, it could spell the end for humanity. Are we certain this is the right course?" Carter met her gaze, determination evident. "Every moment we delay, the Council tightens its grip. This mission is our chance to turn the tide." With the decision made, the crew took their positions. The Intrepid advanced toward the warp gate, its engines humming with anticipation. "Initiate warp sequence on my mark," Carter commanded. As the ship approached the gate, The structure's energy fields fluctuated wildly. The crew braced themselves as the Intrepid was enveloped in a cascade of light, the familiar starscape giving way to a kaleidoscope of colors and sensations. Moments later, the ship emerged into an uncharted region of space, dominated by a colossal space station, the Council's central command hub. "We've arrived at the designated coordinates," Patel reported. "The station's defenses are active, but it appears we've caught them off guard." Carter seized the opportunity. "All hands, prepare for engagement. Target their communication arrays and power systems. Let's sow as much chaos as we can." The Intrepid launched a barrage of precision strikes, disabling key systems on the station. Alarms blared as the Council's forces scrambled to respond. Kowalski led a boarding party onto the station, their mission to access the Central Command Nexus and extract critical intelligence. They navigated the labyrinthine corridors, encountering sporadic resistance. Back on the Intrepid, Anna coordinated with their newfound allies, orchestrating diversionary tactics to keep the Council's reinforcements at bay. As Kowalski's team breached the command center, they were confronted by High Arbiter Vorthuin, its bioluminescent form pulsating with agitation. "Your defiance is futile," Vorthuin declared. "The Council's dominion is absolute." Kowalski smirked. "Funny, I was about to say the same thing about humanity's spirit." A tense standoff ensued, culminating in a fierce exchange. Kowalski's team managed to subdue Vorthuin, accessing the station's mainframe and transmitting vital data back to the Intrepid. With their objectives achieved, Carter ordered a strategic withdrawal. "Recall all teams. Prepare for immediate exfiltration." As the Intrepid retreated, the Council's forces began to regroup. The stolen intelligence revealed internal divisions and vulnerabilities within the Council's hierarchy. Anna analyzed the data, her eyes widening. "Captain, this information could shift the balance of power. We have leverage now." Carter nodded, a sense of hope rekindled. "Then let's use it wisely. Initiate contact with our allies. It's time to turn this war around." As the Intrepid set course for home, the crew felt a renewed sense of purpose. The mission had been perilous, but their resilience and unity had carried them through. The Council had underestimated humanity's resolve. Now, armed with critical intelligence and bolstered by alliances, humanity stood poised to challenge the oppressive regime. The battle was far from over, but the tide had begun to turn. The galaxy watched in anticipation as humanity prepared to defy the odds once more.